guys, I'm Zoe from Zoe's Fancy Cakes, and today I want to show you how I made this eyeball cake, or this cake covered in eyeballs. Now it's a bit late for Halloween is this one, guys, so I apologise. I'm going to start by making the eyeballs with some white chocolate, and I'm going to just pop them into a mould. So I'm using a silicone mould. I'll put links below the video to everything that I use. I'm also going to use some of the giant purple cupcake sprinkles. They're chocolate and biscuit in the middle, but they're ideal to paint into eyeballs. So for the mould, first of all, just make sure whatever mould you're using, that it's dry and clean. Otherwise the chocolate won't set right. So I'm starting by melting some white chocolate for this one. And I'm going to add a little bit of white food colour. Now you don't have to add this, but I just want the chocolate a little bit whiter. The colour mill's quite good for putting into chocolate and any other sort of oil-based things like buttercream. I'm going to put a little bit of it into each of the cavities in the mould. I'm not going to completely fill them, but if you want to have solid eyeballs, then you can of course completely fill them. But my plan for these ones is to fill them with chocolate ganache and little crunchy pieces. So I'm just going to tilt it about backwards and forwards, making sure that they are coated all the way around inside, and then I'm tipping out any extra. I'm tipping it onto greaseproof paper, guys, so that anything that's left over can set, and then I can peel it off the greaseproof paper easily. So once the eyeballs, or the sort of shell of the eyeballs are set, still keep them in the mould, and what we're going to do is we're going to fill them with ganache and crisp pearls. Just using a piping bag to put in a bit of ganache first in each one. Don't completely fill it to the top, we need to have space for the crisp pearls. Then let's spoon in some of those crisp pearls into each one. Put a little bit more ganache in each one as well. Again, don't go quite to the very top because we need to put a bit of white chocolate then on the top of each one just to seal them in. And we're going to wait for those to set. And I'll show you a little bit later in the video, guys, the process of making the chocolate ganache. If you want to do any eyeballs solid, you can do, guys. I'm just filling those last three cavities with just white chocolate. They're easier to get out of the mold than the ones that I've got the chocolate ganache in. And I just wanted to quickly show you that anything that's left in my piping bag, I tend to leave in the piping bag and I let it set, because it's easier for me to remove it this way than try and squeeze it out while it's wet, and then I can just remelt that. So once those eyeballs are completely set, we can take them out of the mold. Just be careful, because if you've made the shell quite thin, when you push them out the mold, you can break them. So just be really careful of that. So once you've got them all out, we can decorate those later. We're going to use edible pens to decorate them, and I'll show you those a bit later in the video. Now I also made some chocolate bark, guys, and I apologise I didn't film me making this, but I had some white chocolate that I put some red food colouring into. So I used the red colour mill and I flicked it onto my greaseproof paper, and then I let that set, and then over the top of that I just put some milk chocolate. Now I'm also going to put this milk chocolate into the ganache as well. So I'm using a tub of Elmley double cream. I'm going to heat that cream up. It's not boiling, but it's still fairly warm, and then I'm going to put double the amount of chocolate into what I've got cream. Now you're going to leave that chocolate, just kind of push it under the surface of the cream, and I'm going to leave that for 5 minutes, and the cream should then melt my chocolate. Once it's had 5 minutes, you can give it a bit of a stir. It might look a bit lumpy at first. Just keep giving it a stir, or give it a few minutes longer to continue melting, and once it's nice and smooth, your ganache is ready. Now, the more chocolate you put in compared to the cream, the thicker your ganache will set. So it's up to you whether you want your ganache a little bit runnier or a little bit firmer. It doesn't have to be super hard to go in the middle of the chocolates, but I don't want it really runny either. So I'll have to leave that for a few hours just to firm up a little bit. I don't want it to fully set, but be kind of peanut butter consistency, and then that's the ideal consistency for piping into things like my lollies. So my lollies, I've started creating the shells on them here, and you can fill them with loads of different things, guys. So this one I'm filling with marshmallow fluff. Now the marshmallow fluff doesn't come in this red colour. I have used the red colour mill to mix in with that, and I haven't even worried about mixing it in properly. It's a little bit marbled looking, but I thought, for these kind of theme that I'm going for, that it looks okay. I thought it looked more like internal organs if it was just a little bit marbled. So don't put too much in there. And I will show you how I put the chocolate in the mould as well shortly. And then I'm also going to put in some of that chocolate ganache that we've made. So it's firm enough that I'm sort of piping it in. Again, don't fill it to the very, very top, because we're going to put some chocolate on the back of that. Apologies for the background noise, guys. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Somebody's having a bit of a tantrum in the background. So on the back, I'm going to melt more milk chocolate and we're just going to cover the back of those molds. I want to try and cover the best I can. I don't want to leave any spaces, otherwise stuff can leak. Especially with that marshmallow fluff, it can leak out of any little holes and gaps. So you're going to let that set and then we can pull them out of the mold. Just pull them gently at the edges first. They should come away pretty easily if they are set. And you can see that I've got red chocolate, or what was white chocolate with that red food colouring, that I had splattered inside the mold, and I apologise that I didn't show you doing that. Now you can see on this one, the chocolate's quite thin there and it's sprung a leak, so you can either plug that in with more chocolate or you can eat that one. So just to show you what they look like inside, they're quite messy, these ones, but they taste really good. For that red effect, I've just got the white chocolate with the red food colouring. Again, I'll put links below the video, guys, so you can see everything that I've used. I do sell most of this stuff on my online shop, but of course you can get it from wherever you like. So you want to let it set in the mold. You can also flick it onto the lollies that you've already made if you're making more than one set like what I am doing, because I wanted to put different fillings in them. It's just slightly more 3D if you flick it on afterwards. Also, while it's still wet, you can add things like the eyeballs, and I apologize I've not shown you yet how I decorated those eyeballs, but I will, I promise, at some point in this video show you that I just coloured them in with a felt pen. So I'm also going to flick a bit more of this on that chocolate bark that I used. The plan is to use all of these things to decorate the cake with. I ate most of them in the making of it though. I've also got some little hard sugar eyeballs. These were just little sprinkles that I've got, and then I'm just adding a bit of edible pen to them to make them match my other eyeballs. Now you want to temper your chocolate as well, guys, and I forgot to mention earlier in the video that ideally if your chocolate is tempered, it will give you a nicer kind of shine when you get it out the mold. And that's just heating it to a certain temperature. Well, it's slightly more complicated than that, but I'm not very good with tempering. So sorry guys, in the meantime, what I'm doing here is I've melted a giant marshmallow, and then I've mixed it with some ganache, and then I've put some red food colouring in it as well. Now it actually, when it's set, this actually tasted like nugget, weirdly. Or I thought it tasted a bit like, or maybe not nugget, you know the stuff that's in the bottom of a Mars bar? Is that nugget? I'm not sure what you call it. Anyway, I got that ready to put in the chocolates. But your tempered chocolate can then be put into your mold, and you just want to cover it all around the sides. So it's up to you whether you want to tilt it in the mold or if you find it easier to sort of spread it with a spoon. And then you can fill it with that marshmallow stuff, that melted marshmallow. It will firm up all that marshmallow as well. I'm going to put a little bit of ganache on the back of it as well. And then we're going to put some more chocolate on there, just to keep it all inside the lolly. We don't want anything melting and dropping out. So I'm just melting some white chocolate now. Now I'm just melting it in the bowl that I've had the milk chocolate in, which is fine. So the two will be combined, but for what I'm doing, it's absolutely fine. And did you notice, guys, that I forgot to put lolly sticks in my second set of lollies, and also in my third set as well? So the other chocolate that I'd melted was just so that I could create more lollies in different colours, and then I could try putting different things in the filling. So in these ones I did ganache with crisp pearls mixed together. Same kind of thing again, flicking the red in and then pouring the other chocolate in there. What do you guys tend to put in your little lollies when you're making them? I like to put chocolatey things in rather than sort of cake pops, but I know a lot of people like them to be cake pop middles. Be interested to know in the comments what you guys prefer. And you can make these in whatever colours you want as well, guys. And since I made these ones, we now actually sell them in much bigger packs. So the lollies, you can get more in a set, so you don't have to make them as many times over as what I am doing. So for the cake itself, I'm going to completely cheat, and I am just using some packet bought cake mix now. We bought this in, the reason I've got the packet mix cake is because we buy it in to sell in the shop, and of course I wanted to try it and have a go with it. It is actually really nice. I particularly like the chocolate one, and all you have to do is add water to it, so it is really nice and easy to use. It's not an advert for the cake mix, sorry guys, I realise I'm making it sound like it is. It's not, I just wanted to have a bit of a play around with it. So I stacked these off camera, so I apologise, just with some pink buttercream in the middle, and then I'm just using some of my leftover chocolate ganache from the chocolates to scrape around the edges. Now, I didn't want it to be neat, so as I scraped, it kind of pulled back off and it left some of the pink showing, but that's fine. For this kind of cake, I thought it made it look a bit more Halloween-y, a bit fleshier. which is the look that I wanted for it. And then I'm going to melt more marshmallow. I'm going to put red food colouring in it again. Now, the red food colouring did stop it setting back to what it was before. So I would say don't put in a huge amount of the food colouring because it will make it very sticky. I mean, it's sticky anyway. And I would advise, guys, putting gloves on at this stage. Yeah, I really should have put gloves on. Now, it wasn't hot when I was using it, but you do have to be careful that it's not hot when you are doing it because obviously melted marshmallow can get very warm. And it was okay when I was putting it on with a spoon. And I wanted it to be sort of stringy and coming across the cake and look a bit kind of gory. And then I decided I would swap to using my hands for some bits. And that was a really bad idea. So when I picked it up to put my hands in, I thought it would be good to stick a little bit on the back of some of these eyeballs because it would look like the fleshy bits. Obviously, I have no idea what anything's called, but the fleshy bits are the back of your eyeballs, however they're attached. But I made a huge amount of mess. So yeah, wear gloves. Definitely wear gloves for this, guys. And then I started adding them all to the cake. So all those chocolate eyeballs and things I'm going to put on there. Also the lollies, also that chocolate bark that I made earlier. And I still haven't shown you guys how I coloured in those eyeballs. So just press the chocolate bark in. My hands at this stage are absolutely covered in food colouring as well. But colouring in those eyeballs, so I'm going to use the black fractal pens. We're going to put a circle on. I'm going to leave a tiny white bit. And then we're going to put yellow pen around the outside and then some red pen. So these are edible pens. And then you can put little red veins on to make them look a bit more bloodshot. You can even put red powder on to make them again look more bloodshot. And I just wanted to show you guys what they look like in the middle. So you can see there's the chocolate ganache and some crisp pearls in there, and they do taste really nice. So it's worth making the chocolate eyeballs yourself, I think. You can obviously buy chocolates and eyeballs ready made to make things a little bit easier, but they did taste really good. So that's it. That's today's video. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'm sorry that it was very late for Halloween. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and more.